to this computer. Good morning. Happy Monday after Milton. Don't get to say that often, right? We have all survived, hopefully. We are all in a much better place. I don't know if you guys saw the downtown Windermere was devastated, and now I drove through it. It looks pretty good. So it was just flooded, trees down everywhere. Now it looks pretty darn good. Still a lot of rain, but looks pretty good. So I have to say, I think we've come through on the other side. Hopefully you all are doing okay as well. But with this comes still October, right? We are sitting here on October 14th, Columbus Day, or the celebration of Columbus Day. So some banks are closed, some holiday stuff is going on. But does that stop us? No. And I had put into the title of today, Getting Prepared for 2025, because in truth, wasn't certain what was happening in terms of was Budge going to release the video today? And the answer is yes. Although I was hoping it would be out already, it is not out yet, I have noticed. However, we are going to have a sneak peek. So don't tell. The video is coming out today. You will see it. So I don't feel like I'm scooping it, right? Because it is coming out today. But I'm going to share with you those who are on my Zoom. You're the lucky few who will get to see the business plan of 2025. Oh my gosh, see? But then you will be seeing Budge's beautiful video and he will go into depth on it. And then I will be starting to set appointments with each and every one of you. But I want to take you just through it a little bit to share with you some of the great new things that we've added, the reasoning behind some of the things that we've done. And you will have access to it as soon as he sends it. I will not give you access to it. I will let him do that. Can't just steal it all, right? So that seems fair, don't you think? Okay. I've like really held out. I mean, you're gonna be pretty proud of me. It was been painful, right? But so without any further ado, I'm going to hit share and I am gonna go ahead. I don't know what that is about. And put in here. Dun dun dun! The latest and greatest 2025. Our culture is defined by its people, and our people are definitely premier. And if we don't show that each and every day, I have to say, hey, Felix, I'm more proud of each and every one of you every day. So this is our business plan. And this is the welcome from Budge, which I will let him share with you as he goes through it. And it is a 5-step business plan. We are going to measure performance and do an overview of your income, because that's the first thing you got to do. You have to measure. How can you possibly plan if you don't know where you've been? Does that make sense? Right? Then we have to reflect on what you've done. How can you move forward if you haven't learned from what you've done? It's like, when people say, I've taken a test and I didn't pass or whatever, and I'm just going to keep going forward. You've got to look at the things you did wrong to make sure you don't do them again. So it's the same kind of thing. We want to learn the things we've done well. How can we do them better? And maybe also, like, one of the things that I think are critical, and I've talked about it a little bit, guys, let's look at cancellation or an expiration rather on our listings. How often have I talked before this recently on the expiration ratio? That's a critical one, especially as things are taking a little longer to sit on the market. We've got to look at that, right? Because why are things expiring? And how can we make things sell maybe not only faster, but to make sure that they don't expire, right? So these are things we've got to look at. Also, we have to look at the time frame it takes us on a buyer. How do we tighten those things up? So these are things we're going to measure, we're going to reflect on, and then we can set our goals. But our goals
Okay.
can't simply be numbers. Our goals also need to be life goals, because just number goals, it's very hard to stay focused on a number goal. It has to be tied to a life goal. So we've really kind of infused that in here. And then you got to take action, guys, because you can have all the goals in the world, but a goal without an action plan is simply a wish. Okay. It's really not anything more than that. You need to have an action plan where activities are needed to have specific, smart, measurable goals that you can actually set time, how you can tell if you're achieving your goal, right? And they have to be measurable. So we're going to talk about SMART goals. And then you need to schedule it. How do I implement these goals and stay on track to know that I'm get my progress along so that by the end of the year, I will be able to attain all those things I want to do. So these are the things we're going to focus on this year. And I think it's a great way to look at your business plan. I don't think we've ever talked about it in that kind of a micro fashion before. And I think it's a little bit more important now more than ever to really hone in on that. Does that make sense? And if it doesn't, too bad, because that's what we're doing. Just kidding. Okay, let's admit people. Okay, so here is, and if you guys have done this with me before, you may remember this, the current business analysis. We have changed it slightly, but this is what you're going to look at. This really helps you hone in on what's happened. How many active listings do you have? And what is the listing dollar amount? And guess what I did during Milton? Oh, I went through every one of our listings. I have created a spreadsheet, a master spreadsheet. I know it took me a long time. And I have downloaded every one of our listings in my office. And I know who did it, what is the commission that you have offered for us and for the buy side. And who is the agent on that? And if there's anything interesting or unique about it. I have a spreadsheet, a master spreadsheet of that, because you know what? How else do we keep track of that when it's not in the MLS anymore? You need to have that. Okay, now I have it for all active listings, but I'm going to keep this moving forward because this is how we can monitor too. If things do expire, we want to notice that. We want to notate how long was it on the market? Did we have extensions? How long did we extend? And then why did it not sell? These are things you need to pay attention to, okay? So I've already done that for all of my offices. Yeah, it took me a long time. And then also the listing dollar volume. This is how you're going to figure out your average sales price. So that's why you want to know that. The current number of pending transactions, guys, we like to call that. So for me, when I talk about my current number of pending transactions, we have something called the CMOE ratio. That means my pending number will tell me how long I can stay in business. It's you too, right? Because you're a business owner, you're the CEO of your own business, and your pending volume tells you how long you can stay in business, doesn't it? If you have nothing pending, you better get things going, right? Because that's telling you what's going to be coming down the pike, how you're going to be able to pay your bills moving forward, right? Does that make sense? So that's a really important number, your pending transactions. And then your transaction dollar volume. It's very interesting to see the transaction dollar volume versus the listing dollar volume. And a lot of times what I like to notice is often the listing dollar volume is much higher than the transaction dollar volume. You know what that means? You are really working to bring your average sales price up. I love it. Now, what will make that change is when you sell your listings. And that's what we're looking for, right? So you'll start to notice the longer you're with me and the longer we start to see that happen, your transaction dollar volume will raise based upon how long you've been able to sell your listings, right? Because that's where you can control. Unfortunately, we don't control our buyers. I wish we did, guys, unless they come off our listings, right? You control the listings. So we've really got to focus on the listing dollar volume. All right. Now, the business analysis. So how many listings did you take? What was the dollar volume? That's your average list price, which is really your average sales price, right? And how many did you sell? Because there is a number that, certain numbers that you didn't sell. Let's be real, for XYZ reason. The dollar volume, the average sales price, and the gross commission. This is a very important number now more than ever that you got to pay attention to. And you got to pay attention to both on the list side and the buy side, because now more than ever you get to control that, right? Who sets the professional fee? You do. You do. And when you start to notice, it's very interesting because now that I've done this and I see who has the listings and I see patterns. I have seen patterns before I even put in that, before I go and I go into seeing the dot loop and seeing what the commissions are, I already know what they're going to be. Because I know what you as the advisor are going to start offering. Because you're pattern people. And I know the ones that are going to be 6, 3 and 3, and I know the ones that are automatically going to be 5, 2.5 and 2.5. It's interesting. So if you're the 5er, ask yourself why. Why are you always a 5? Do you not think you're worth it? That's the truth of it. Do you not think your services you're offering are worth it? Now, what I'm also noticing is there's a lot I'm seeing as new trends that are 6, 3.5 to us, and 2 to the other side. Loving it. 2.5, loving it. Take the 3.5 to us. I'm seeing Miss Susan Abshire, good job. Some new trends are coming out. Yeah, why not? Why not? This is the opportunity, guys, to take your business to new heights. This is when you can do that. And I'm seeing those trends emerging. But only you determine that. And this is the time when you're going to look at this and look at your business and ask yourself, why did I do that? I have been in a listing presentation with an advisor and automatically said, what is your price? And she discounted it immediately. And I said, really? Well, she already gave you a discount. I asked her, why did she do that afterwards? And she said, I don't know. They didn't ask for the discount. She just gave it immediately. She just felt she had to. Why? They would have gone for the upper price. They didn't even ask for the discount. See what I'm saying? This is the time, go higher. 3.5 is our professional fee. What would you like to offer the other side? If they want to be at 6, great, no problem. Right? It's very simple. Take 6 minus 3.5. That's the other side. Right? We can do this, guys. So this is something I really want you to think about. When you're looking at this, go through your numbers, go through your contracts. What did you offer? Why did you offer it? Now, it's one thing if they beat you down. We've all been there, right? We've had those customers who are like, listen, we got to take the business. We're going to work it out no matter what. But in your mind, listen, at the builder, I'm going to tell you something. I had, some flexibility. Sometimes an advisor would come to me and say, hey, Carrie, can you give me extra on this one deal? And I said, well, if I give you one on here, you got to make it up on the next one. You got to think like that for yourself. All right, if I give some extra, I'm going to make it up on the next one, right? Why? For your own pocketbook, right? If you lose money on one side, make it up on the next. Just because it's a higher sales volume, it doesn't mean in your mind you shouldn't say, okay, the next deal, I'm going to make it up on the commission side. That's going to help you with your own self-worth, being able to get yourself a higher commission. Because the point is, are you worth it? Do you believe Sotheby's provides the tools and the resources? If you don't, go check to see what everybody else is doing. They're not giving them anything. I challenge you to see what other companies are offering for the sellers. I know, because I hear everybody complaining about what they're getting. Nothing, right? Especially in the high end, it cracks me up. They're not doing anything. So, realize what you're offering. Ask them first, especially on unexpired. What were they doing for marketing before you even get to pricing? Share with me, what was their marketing plan? I guarantee they didn't have one. Ask them, right? Go on some listings for expires and just ask those questions, even if you don't want the expired listing. Find out what's out there. Hear the stories. I'm telling you, they're nightmares, right? I mean, we went on, which Stacy Rollins got, and we're doing it in conjunction with McKnight, which is fabulous. And it's listed at 7.9 million. They had that thing listed higher. It started at 9.3. It was listed with Better Homes and Gardens. He put hundreds of thousands of dollars to do outdoor lighting in this thing, right? He totally redid this property. They didn't even do any nighttime photos. They didn't even have a video. Guys, that's pathetic. It looked like the home was right off the road in the picture they took. You had a meandering driveway. They were missing 25 acres from the listing. I mean, this is just basic stuff. We're not even talking about marketing yet. Okay. And the price was 9.3 they came in at. We said, where did you get your price from? The agent. They said between 9 and 10 million, or 8 and 10 million, something like that. And then they had no calls, no showings, nothing, right? So 6 months in, after nothing, the seller says to the agent, when does this happen? Do you think we should lower the price? We've had no action at all. You know what the agent says? No, once they set the price, I don't like to touch it. Of reality here. And so the seller says, I want to lower the price. Let's go to 8.9. The seller says that. I mean, are you kidding me? Guys, this is like crazy. By the way, it's a beautiful property. Overpriced still. We're at 7.9 now. Okay. Came to us because they knew there was no marketing being done. You see my point? I'm going to share with you. How much do you think we're getting in commission? Do you think we took a discount? No, we did not. Because it takes money to market a beautiful property like this. And I was in there on that commission conversation. So of course, first we shared with them what our professional fee is. And our professional fee is what our professional fee is. We all know it's 3%, isn't it? Because it takes money to offer a beautiful home like this. And then we said, how much would you like to offer for the buy side? And then they asked about the lawsuit. And I explained about the lawsuit. So I said, you offer whatever you feel. And she said, but we do want people to show the home. I said, well, that's exactly right. So she said, do you recommend 3? I said, well, I do. Absolutely. I said, but you know what? If they come in $200,000 below, $500,000 below, it's not to say it's not negotiable. Obviously, it's going to be based upon the price. She said, oh, I feel good about that. I said, absolutely. You see what I'm saying here, people? 7.9 million. Didn't come in dropping the price. Are you crazy? How would we do that? How would you do that? How many people would come in thinking you have to drop the commission because it's 7.9 million? Why would you do that? You've got to spend money marketing this. You've got to sell this. You have to spend money to sell this home. And if you don't have money in the commission, how are you going to do it? You follow me? That's why the commission is there, for you to spend money to sell the home. Everybody with me? Okay, great. Moving on. Okay. Then you do the same thing with buyers, guys. How many buyers did you sell? Let me ask you though, I want you to think about not only how many buyers did you sell, but I want you to add another line in here for me. How many buyers did you work with that you didn't? How many buyers are you still working with that haven't put in an offer yet? Had to hold for whatever reason? Because that is a more important number, in my opinion. How many buyers do you really have to work with to get one to the closing table? Right? That is a more important number. Because if you really think, oh yeah, let's say I sold 20 buyers, great. How many did you really work with? People are like, oh, I love the people who say I love buyers. They're so cute. They're so great. They may be great, but how many more are still holding, are still wanting to see more property, are still waiting for the rates, are still, right? And that's fine, but we have to factor in the true cost of time, high time, on a buyer when we're thinking about how we're going to balance your business. Does that make sense? Because there's a cost of time when you're thinking of a buyer, and there's a cost of time when you're thinking of a listing. Yes.
Is work with the buyers, once you have a buyer's agreement, or in the perspective, working with buyers, get them to sign a buyer's agreement?
That's a great question. I love that. Walter asked, when you're asking about working with a buyer, are you asking about the ones that have signed the buyer agreement, or you're talking about the ones before you even get them to sign the buyer agreement? You might have 2 lines there. That's a great question. See, Walter, with me, I'm there before we go to see the showing. If they don't sign it, they're off, because I will never work with them again, right? It depends on you. Okay. I was very clear. I've never worked without a buyer broker agreement. Never. So for me, it's very easy to say, you don't sign it, you're done. You're dead to me. I was very clear about that. So, I can always say that, but some people are not like that. Some people, they have such a good heart and they want to keep trying to work with them. I mean, if that's you, whatever, you do you, right? I have no patience for that. So we're very different people then. And I'm not going to determine what business is best for you because you're an independent contractor and everybody runs their business differently, right? So it doesn't matter. It just, I would say maybe you have two lines. So everybody with me on that? Okay, perfect. Okay, so, but you've got to figure these numbers out, and especially with buyers. Okay, here's another question. You go ahead and you get your professional fee on a buyer, 3%. How many plan to keep them at 3%, or how many plan to change it based upon what happens with the seller? Okay, because I've heard that on several occasions now. Well, if the seller comes in lower and is not willing to pay the 3%, I'm going to change it to be lower. I don't recommend that strategy. Bless you, Shandy. Now, if that's like a one-off, like, we occasionally have that buyer, whatever. But if that's your business strategy, then I really very much tell you to look at the cost of time it's going to take you to work with those buyers. Because then we really got to look at pie time, because you really need to see what the cost of working with that buyer is and the value of working with that listing is. Because I don't think people really understand. Sometimes you end up paying to work with a buyer. Okay, so let's look at that, factor that in. And if that's the case, you better only bring them to builders, because those are the ones you're getting paid at. So if that's the kind of buyer you have, then your strategy better be only new construction, right? Just another thing. So we can work with it if that's really what you like and really what you want to do. But and that's obviously, Sue, not the villages, because they don't pay you. But other than that, okay. So, and then outgoing referrals. Guys, if you haven't sent any, I'm going to tell you right now, you're missing free money, right? That is a free money bucket. And if you haven't thought about getting some alcohol, because how many of you are actually from Orlando? Anybody?
Been here since 1982.
I am Carrie.
What was that?
I am Elizabeth.
Okay,
Born-
Elizabeth. So you and Lisa are actually from Orlando, but have you ever lived anywhere else?
Yes.
So you both lived everywhere else, somewhere else. So that means you still have a chance of outgoing referrals. So,
Yes.
okay, unless you've only lived in Orlando and never left this little pond, which nobody actually is at, then people from somewhere else. You're
I live in
missing-
Orlando and I haven't left, Carrie.
Alejandro, you are the last person to talk. Listen, you're the perfect example. You are the only one that can actually make this true, and you have the biggest number of outgoing referrals. So everybody, you're all put to shame. So because outgoing referrals, if you've ever been anywhere else, you know people from somewhere else, right? And that is free money. It's all about either staying in touch with your sphere and doing some good social media, or just staying in contact some way and saying, I can help you wherever in the world you want to go. We have the most qualified advisors all over the world, and I am here to help you. Don't get stuck dealing with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. We will help you wherever you are. Just reach out to me. I've got you covered. That's all an outgoing referral is, guys. Oh, I had an advisor, Christy Keene. She did a great series. Friends Don't Let Friends Use Bad Agents is what she sent out. It was hysterical. She did testimonials of people who had horrible experiences. She had the most outgoing referrals ever. And it was hysterical, by the way. But it was Friends Don't Let Friends Use Bad Agents. And yep. So she's like, listen, wherever you are, just call Christy. That was her thing. Wherever you are, just call Christy. But what a great idea. Because it's true. Not that you do real estate there, but you want to make sure you've got them covered, right? So these are things that are just like, that's low-hanging fruit. It's so easy to get, and it should be part of your business plan. Because if it's not, guys, we have the strongest network out there. You guys all agree with that? So it needs to be on here. And if you have zero here, it's okay. That means that's an easy way to pick up some money for 2025, right? That's a great thing. Because you're gonna say, okay, 2024, I missed it, although you still have a quarter left, so you still can get some, right? But you see in 2025, that's a great way you can increase some money right there. It's an easy pickup. Okay. And then that's how you figure out what you did. All right. Then what you're going to do is you're going to evaluate. Okay. How satisfied were you with your current year's performance, but beyond the market conditions? Because you have to be realistic. If the market is down 25, 30%, could be more right now, especially after Milton. Maybe it's down 40%. I think it's down probably 30% here in Orlando. Let's say it's down, and I can get those numbers for you. I'll pull up the numbers for you. However far down the market is. If you expect to be up 45%, is that realistic, guys? Now listen, if you are, kudos, man. That's amazing. Great job. But you have to be realistic, okay? Now, given the chance, what would you do differently? Right? This is a great opportunity to really look at your business and say, for example, man, I didn't even think about an outgoing referral. Totally should have added some of that, right? Or, you know what? I'm going to look at the commissions a little bit differently now. I'm going to really look at my value, right? I mean, really digest what you've done and think, now, because we all know that phrase, hindsight is 2020, right? We all can, it's very easy to do that. So now is your chance to do that. Because as we're doing that, guess what? It gives us the opportunity for doing something different next year, right? Now, what has been your greatest business challenge at present? This is really important to kind of pinpoint that. Because if you know what your greatest business challenge is right now, we can figure out how do we get past it, right? Or around it. I mean, sometimes we can get past it. Sometimes we can get around it. Sometimes we just have to figure our way through it, right? But we can't unless we know what it truly is. So that's important. What is the most impactful change that you made in your business this year? We've all made some changes in our business. What has been the most impactful? And if you can't think of something you did impactful in your business, then maybe what's been the most impactful thing you've done in your life this year? You know? Give your opportunity some kind of thing that you've done. You've done something impactful this year. It's great if it could be a business thing, but if it's not, then look at your life. Either way, look, you're a whole person, right? And so that's the one thing about being in real estate. It's very personal. And sometimes it's very hard to separate the person from the family, from the business. So, if you can separate it, great to see how it's impacted your own business, but your business impacts your life, right? So what's the most important change or action that you wanted to make, but you didn't? This is a good, we all have, I don't know if you guys do this, but every year at New Year's Eve, we all write a list of the things that we're going to do this year. We all do this. And then I put it in a box. And then right before the new year, we open up and we see how many things we did. Sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes it's disappointing. Sometimes it's like, yes. But it's always enlightening because you're like, that's right, I was going to do that. Huh. It's usually the get healthy and the this and the that and the whatever. But sometimes it's interesting, some of the other things you write on there. So this is what you're doing for your business, okay? Now, what would you say is the primary reason you didn't convert a listing opportunity? This is a really good one. This is why I want you to think through how many listing appointments did you go on? And all through the year, you should keep track of this. If you don't have like a notebook that you keep it on, keep it digitally, but how many listing appointments did you go to? Did you actually get every listing? I like to say, yes, you did, but there may be one or two you didn't for whatever reason. Maybe they decided not to list, but what possible reason did you not convert a listing opportunity? Think about that. Is it something that you could have changed? Is it something that maybe you couldn't change? But you want to think about those things because that could change your business greatly for 2025, right? And then what about a buyer opportunity? Is there a reason you didn't convert a buyer? Maybe you didn't get them to sign a buyer broker agreement. Maybe they just annoyed you and you just decide that you don't like buyers. No. Oh, wait, that's me. No. But you got to think about these things, okay? How confident are you in your understanding of the new buyer representation changes? That is really important. This is your time to really dissect that. If you are confused at all, come to me. Not in a big group setting. We will do it one-on-one because it is so critical you understand that in your own language so that you can explain it to somebody and not necessarily the buyer. Oftentimes it's the seller, right? Because they want to know, how does it affect them, right? And then working with a buyer broker agreement, how comfortable are you with that? Do you understand that there's 3 different kinds and how they different work and when you need to use one versus another? Or can you use multiple kinds? Or really dissect how comfortable are you with them, the different kinds, the nuances. Do you have any questions? Write it all down, highlight it, circle it up. We will meet one-on-one on those things. Bring them to the business planning session, whatever it is. If we need to meet twice, 3 times, I don't care. But that is not done in a, I don't think at this point they should be done in a big session. That needs to be done one-on-one because it's probably something that is a connection for you that you really need to, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like that's probably what it needs at this moment. And then compensation agreements. We all know there's been a lot of confusion. If there's any confusion left, let's go through that. And how confident are you in your ability to obtain your full fee? Now, here's a question on that, guys. This is really what I want to ask you on that. What is your full fee? Have you decided? Do you know what you're worth? Right? I mean, we told you what our standard is. So what? What's yours? I like that, Susan, you decided yours is 3.5. Susan decided that on her own. Good for you, girl.
Well, hey, Carrie, also a great book, and I think I put it on the chat, The Full Fee Agent. I went and
Yes, Stephen Voss. Yes.
Yes, I saw him speak, and it is so true because some of the things that he talks about hit home really hard.
Thank you, Susan. Amazing. Yep, Stephen Voss. He's awesome. Oh, Chris Voss. Sorry. You're right. I was renaming him. That's his brother. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Chris Voss. He also does Split the Difference, right? That's the other book he has. I think The Full Fee Agent is the second book, right?
It's a great book. It's all over deciding your value
Mhm.
and what your
Yep.
services are worth. And a lot of the principles he went over, it was like, oh my gosh. I looked in the mirror and it was not nice. So it does have me reevaluating certain things.
I love it. Well, you are not the only one doing 3.5, but you're the one I see doing it consistently. And I know because I went through that exercise and I have saw at least 3 or 4 of your listings you've done it on. So congratulations. And I can say that because I went through every listing. It's Chris Voss, The Full Fee Agent, right? Mhm.
That's correct. Great read. It really makes you take a good hard look at what you're charging and what you're worth.
Mhm. Yep. But again, you can only decide that. Like we can tell you all day long, our standard a professional fee is 3%. But unless you really believe that, you're not going to be able to really present it. Like for me, anybody who's brought me in, Linda's brought me in on a listing presentation. Anybody else here has brought me in on one? Walter's brought me in on a listing presentation, right? Or no, I didn't go on a listing presentation with you. But if I've gone in with you on a listing presentation, did I have any problem presenting anything? Because, yeah, she. But then I love what Linda said to me after. She goes, huh, it was a conversation.
And when you're going to the training, you're saying you have to say all these things. I was like, that sounds like all I'm doing is talking. I'm doing a presentation or like I'm doing a concert presentation. But the way you do it, where it's conversational, it flowed way better.
Yeah. Yeah, because it has to be conversational. Otherwise, it'd be totally bizarre and weird. Right. Yeah, I know. But the thing is, guys, I believe it to my core. I know our stats. I know what we do. I've seen the difference. I could pull up any report and I can see, like I was showing my son, he's going to be helping the one who's preparing for med school. He's going to be helping Jill actually set up pulse reports, set up in his spare time because he wants to make some extra cash and I won't let him get a job. So I'm going to let him work with some advisors who want help doing marketing stuff. And who is better than someone who's trained by me? So, and he's so smart. He's like, oh, Mom, this is so easy. I'm like, thank God. Somebody who gets it easy. Like, oh, Jesus, Lord above. But he's like, oh my God, you have such information at your fingertips. Guys, I was showing him, the one that we have on Peninsula Ave that is for, 12.9 million. That thing is incredible. How many offices? It's been shown more than 140,000 views. I mean, it has shared over 32 times. It is incredible the amount of leads it's gotten. Who can show that? Who can show that? We can support to Sylvie, the seller, anytime Chad's on here, he could tell you how much we've done from those reports. No one else can do that. Chad, you on? I thought it said Chad on. No one else can show that level of detail. She can really see how hard we're working. Now, she's gotten other offers from us as well. But Chad, you on?
Yes, I'm on.
Oh, can you share how much Sylvie can see from those reports, how hard you've been working?
Yeah, she can definitely see, and she's had no problem. It's taken a while to sell at that price, but she's had no problem relisting with me because she knows that there's no one out there that's going to do a better job of presenting it than what we are. And so, show her the reports and where all it's being viewed all around the world. And so she's, satisfied and pleased with what we're doing. And, had 2 more calls this last week and had a showing scheduled for Thursday and the hurricane came. So now I've got to hold off on that.
Well, I want to also congratulate you, Chad. 12.9 million. No discount on his commission. As a matter of fact, all of his high-end listings, no discount on his commission. Great job, Chad. Amazing.
Thank you.
Because he knows what we're offering is worth it, and he knows what it takes to get it done. Right? I mean, that's what it takes. So, okay.
Is it the seller pulse report that he's using?
He used the pulse report. He beefs up the pulse report like I show him how to do, but we're looking at the list track. That was the list track that I was just talking about. So it's all of those reports. It's every report. He does the presentation suites. He does the flip books. It's everything that you have. You can't, if you don't have your sellers on the pulse and you haven't, improved it with the listing exposure and added all the things that there are other places that they can click and see their home on the Juwai, the Nikkei, the Financial Times. If you're not doing that, if you don't have them set up on the list track, then they don't know. They're not seeing this. And so they're not going to believe that it's worth all that because they don't know. It's like, you're crossing your hands behind your back. Okay, you're with Sotheby's, but so what? Like, nobody cares. You're not showing them anything. So in order to have the ability to obtain that full fee, you need to decide what is your full fee. And you got to know why. And then you got to really know our tools and resources to be able to showcase that. And that's really where I think the strength of being able to say this is what we're worth comes from. Because if you really don't know what we're offering, if you have a vague idea, it's very hard to feel secure in that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you're going to have that on there too. Approximately how many hours on average each week are you really working? And the reason I'm asking you that is twofold. Remember we talked about pie time? This is really when you have to really journal and say, working. Sitting on social media, pretending that you're working, thinking that you're working, like going through people's stuff is not really working, or are you working 80 hours a week, but you don't have the results to show from it. So maybe that's all e-time. This is where you got to really decide, where are you spending your time? Because you could be working so many hours in this business and not making any money. So this is the industry that you really have to use your time wisely. And that's why that question is there. And were you able to contribute your retirement to your retirement fund this year? More importantly, do you have one? Right? Because this is the other problem. In this industry, you don't have IRAs typically, right? But you can. You can have your own IRA. How many people do though? I'm not going to ask you that, but good job. But like a lot of people may not have an IRA. You may not have something set up for the future, and the future comes whether you want it or not. And you may not be ready. If you have little kids, did you set up, some kind of a fund for the school? Because trust me, college is expensive. And then they want to go to law school and med school, and it just never stops. So you have to be prepared for these things, right? So you got to think about these things. And did you get to do something fun? Right? So these are the things that life makes worth living. So you got to plan for it, right? Because again, without a plan, hope is not a strategy, right? So you got to plan for it. If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. I like that. Yeah. And then here comes the 20-point business plan. This we've had in there before, but this is great. If you're like, okay, my business was perfect, then this should be terrific. If you're like, my business wasn't quite what I wanted it to be, check out this and see really how well you did. Each of these is worth 5 points. Okay. So did you have defined goals and a written business plan last year? And did you follow a daily routine to generate business using the Ninja 9 with an abundance mindset? And if you don't know what that is, did you at least read the book, Ninja Selling? Have you gone to Ninja? Did you think about Ninja? Because these are things that are going to help you. Did you track your sources of business, your investments to generate the business and your results? Have you tracked anything? You know how many advisors I know don't have any idea where their business is coming from? They didn't track the results. I ask them how are they doing this year. They have no idea. I don't know if they think that it's going to get better by not looking at it, but it's again that hope is not a strategy concept. Do you have a geographical target market of at least 200 properties that receive a minimum of 1 month of mailing? Again, I offer this service to each of you. If you have not sat down with me because you asked somebody, oh, did it work? Oh, I sent out 1 mailing. I didn't get anything. Guys, I'm sorry. I mean, there's no magic bullet. Now, Walter sent out and he did get listings from 1 mailing, but it doesn't mean that everybody gets a listing from 1 mailing. If you're doing a geographic target, you have to send at least 4. I like 4 to 6 to the same community. If you get nothing from that community, switch. But then there's farming. So there's a difference between targeted prospecting and farming. And you have to know the difference.
Okay, I'm on a conference
We're
call.
all
Is
going to
everything
do.
okay?
And you have to know,
Love you.
be able to know the difference. And you have to be planned to have that. So we're going to look at that. You have to have a sphere of a demographic group that you contact regularly, right? You have a meaningful CRM that you're updating weekly and that you communicate with. I mean, we would talk about the CRM. Did you do that? Do you consistently manage a warm and a hot list from your database? I mean, how many here really have a warm and a hot list? Anybody? I have my contacts set up for auto flow using market reports, Insight or another. Have you guys done that yet? Because we've been talking about it. Okay, Linda, I know you're big on that. Lisa, you did it? Walter, did you do it yet? Auto flow?
What is it?
Did you set up your contacts for auto flow yet?
No.
Okay, see, so that's some things we got to work on. I hold 2 or more open houses a month. That's a great one. I attend, you better come to my trainings and business meetings. You spend 10, but I have to say, guys, because I put them on YouTube, a lot of times people don't come. I see the same people all the time at my trainings, but a lot of people that may not be happy with their business are not here, right? And so it is what it is. But I do see a lot of you guys, all the same people, which is great. And it's interesting because the ones that I see are doing good, which is interesting, right? I spend between 10 and 20% of my gross income on personal marketing. I'm involved at least one civic or charitable organization. My online profiles are updated with a photo, bio, and custom testimonial. Let's talk about that. I really want you to update your bios. I think a lot of these bios are stale. Yeah, we got to look at our bios. And also like our our bios and our Instagrams and all of those things, they should have calls to action in them. They shouldn't be about you. They should be about what you do for the customer. That's something we need to make sure we're really got that up to date. I have a social media strategy with regular posts, balancing property, market, brand, and personal content. I generate at least one outbound referral per quarter and build relationships with the SIR network. Otherwise, why aren't you in, SIR? Right? That's a great one. I have a follow-up plan in place for prior customers. I have an updated listing consultation and personal marketing plan. Guys, that personal marketing plan and the listing presentation suite, you guys don't have yours? Why not? I train in it all the time. Everybody should have one. And if you're from Ocala, I have a new cover sheet for that, which is beautiful. I had Claire do it for me and it's beautiful. It's got a horse on it and says distinguished difference with a horse. But if we want a new one of a new house, I could do that. Claire will change that for me really easily. So it's beautiful. I'll show it to you later. But everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? With the marketing plan. Let me show you if you don't know what I'm talking about. Let me see. I sent one to, oh my God, I have a lot of people texting me. Hold on. Actually, I sent one to Jake. Let's see, Jake. Here, let's take a peek at this. This thing. Of course I cannot. There it is. This one is that marketing plan I'm talking about. We can change that cover page. I don't know who this is. Ah, it's Rachel Glory Smith. Now see, look, I've been updating people's bios with this one. Isn't that pretty? Guess where it comes from? Who wants to win 5 points? Nobody? No, that's actually not. That's just from a Windermere picture. But do you know where I made the bio in? Design Vault. And I took one of the testimonials and guess where I made that? Design Vault. But doesn't that look really pretty? Remember this? Public relations plan, marketing plan. I updated. This is just Central Florida and then company wide. And then you sign it. You all should have this in your presentation suite so you can modify it for your listing. Does everybody have this? Yeah, you need to have one so that you can modify it. So that way, when you go on your listing presentation, you just update it for the listing presentation you're going on. Make sense?
You better hedge.
Then put that on your to-do list. Okay, so I'm confident in consulting with buyers and articulating my value of my representation. If you need help with that, I'm here. And also, I want everybody to send me what they'd like me to train on because I want to work on my training schedule for the year as well. I'm confident utilizing the Ninja 16 and seller process and Ninja 10 buyer process. If you don't know what that is, obviously you may not be competent. I can overcome objections with buyers and sellers. You know, I love objection handling to obtain full professional fees. Linda, did I have any objections when I asked about the full service fee?
No.
No. Lee, who else was with me when we just did it? Well, Stacy was. We had no objections getting the full fee. I just went on another one with, who else was I with one? Never had an objection when we asked for the full fee. I have not gotten an objection when I've asked for the full fee, especially when you break it down to our fee. And then you ask them how much for the buyer. I've not gotten an objection.
The pre-qualification calls. Right?
Yeah, well, honestly, it's really about telling them first all of the marketing that you're going to do, sharing with them what they're hoping to get, what's important to them. And then you tell them for all of the marketing, our professional fee is. It's so, and it's only 3%, 3.5%, whatever you want to come out with. That's easy. And then you just say, well, how much would you like to offer the buy side agent? Then it's in their court. It's so simple. Okay, and I've integrated video in my marketing to interact with customers and prospects. I'm so proud of Teresa, who this is a big one for her. She's doing that. Yay, Teresa. But this is a great one. And if you haven't done that, that's a big one that can move the ticker, I think, for 2025. Okay, so that's your business 20 step. Now, guys, we don't ever anticipate everyone's going to have all these things. Just so you know, that would be completely unrealistic. But the reality is, a lot of these things you should feel comfortable with, especially your value proposition, right? Understanding, having your, listing presentations ready, all of that stuff, right? Working your SIR network is a great one. But, some people might say, I don't do open houses. Well, you don't have to, right? Some people might say, I don't want to work with anybody in a charitable organization. Well, don't be charitable. I don't care. I mean, you don't have to pick everything, okay? It's not about doing everything. It's about doing some things extremely well, okay? And we never expect anybody to have all 20 things, but know what they are. Know that if you do some of them, I mean, some of these things you should be definitely doing, like your bios, your online profiles, right? But definitely make sure that the things, like, not everybody's going to have a big video and, working on their video. Not everybody wants to do that. That's okay. You don't have to do every one of these things, but the ones you do pick, do them very well. Is that good? Okay, now this is really great. This is continuous improvement. What do you really want to work on for the business plan items? So this is where you pick the things that you plan to work on. What, and then when are you going to work on them? So like maybe you decide you're going to introduce some video, but maybe in the first quarter, I'm going to come up with content. Maybe by the second quarter, I'm going to actually start doing one video, but really that's how, and I'm going to help you do this. You can put it out and then we're actually going to introduce a plan for it. Okay. That's going to be part of what we do in our business plan. Here is the pie time. We're going to really talk about that, right? And by the way, if you scan this, it goes to a video about pie time. So we have a lot of those cool things. This is the 6 steps to make your business predictable. And this is a great thing. This is the value of a contact. I love this. We've talked a little bit about that. And it talks about how, remember we talked about how you come up with how many someone's worth. And this is a smartphone exercise, which we will go into a little bit later, but this is how we can go through your phone and get the people into your database. And here is, you can scan this and then it can go into, you can watch a video about it. This is your life list. Remember we talked about why are you doing what you're doing? This is something for you to kind of print out and really think about, what is it that you want to focus on? What is it for your family, for your occupation, your career, your recreations and your dreams to be and to give? Like, what is it that you want to focus on? And I think it's great to have one for the year and one for the next 5 years, because maybe there's something over the next 5 years you want to start working on an investment portfolio, or maybe you want to start working on some investment property, or maybe whatever that is, or you want to put it on one in total, and maybe you want to say this year, maybe next year, whatever that case is, or maybe your kids over the next 5 years are going to go to college, whatever that is. But sometimes it's better to think also for the future, not just for the year, right? So you want to start building towards something. Okay. Now, you don't have to share that with me. If you like to, you can, but you don't have to. And then here's your financial goals. This is just something, again, for you when you're coming up with what your wildly important goal is. It's really important to not just say, I want to make this much amount of money. Why? Well, break it down. This is how much I need to live. This is how much I want to spend for my fun. This is what I need for personal growth. Listen, I want to go to Ninja. I want to go to G&E. I want to do some other things, right? This is what I need to spend for my business. This is what I need. Maybe I have to pay for my kids' college, whatever. Discretionary spending. I like to go shopping. I want to get some new shoes. I need a shoe budget, whatever that is. Okay. Business costs. I want to do some marketing. I want to do, think about those things you want to do. Retirement fund. I want to put some money into my retirement. I want to do some charitable giving. I want to invest. I have taxes that I don't want to think about, but I have to. And what does that total up to? That is my wildly important goal. Now we work backwards to say, to get that, how much do I have to sell? What is the volume that I need to hit to sell that? And then I can break it up by listings and buyers and sellers based upon your average sales price. Follow me? And then if your average sales price of late does not equal that, because it's like crazy how much we'd have to sell, now we know it's time to find a new farm, a different, darker prospect. You with me? That's how we do it. Here's the business planning worksheet sheet. This you're going to download, and it's an actual spreadsheet that's Excel. So when you scan this in, and this is great because this actually has all these yellow things can be changed, which is great. So you can put in based upon the things, your commission split, what is your average? Listen, I hope it's not 2.5. I hope your average professional fee is 3%, right? Or maybe if you're Susan, it's 3.5. Whatever, what is your average sales price? I'd love to say it's 1.2. Clearly, that's nobody in here, because that is not our average in Orlando. I would have to say with us, I believe it was 786. I'd have to go back and see those numbers again, but I think in our Premier Sotheby's here in Central Florida, I would think it was 786, but in Orlando, it was like 536. So we are much higher than what it is, but again, it changes all the time. And whatever your financial goal is, when you put all that in, then you can say, okay, what percentage of your transactions will be by buyers? And how many qualified buyers do you need to get that amount of sales? Right? This is what's really, when we were breaking it down, like how many prospects do you have to work with to get that number of qualified buyers, right? To your point. And then how many contracts will it take to actually close? So in this one, you actually have to work with 821 contracts to get to your 11 buyers. That's really scary. And here's your listing sold. So if you're closing 55%, well, this is a very poor ratio. I hope you're closing much higher than that. Number of 14, they sold 14 listings. They're only closing 75%. This particular person, that means they need to sell 19. So they're going to sell 55% of their business is going to come from listings, is what they're saying. They're going to sell only 75% of all their listings. So they're expiring some of their listings, right? So that means they need 19 listings to close 14 of them to be able to get to their $500,000 goal. You see what I'm saying? So they have to work with how many, if they need to go to 2 listings to get one, they have to go to 37 listing appointments. But if they have to talk to 2 prospects to equal 1 consultation, they have to talk to 111 people. And if they need to talk to 10 contacts to just get 1 prospect for a listing consultation, they have to talk to 1,337 people throughout the year. See how that works? So it really breaks down how many people do you have to talk to all year to get to the right amount of people to make the right amount of money.
It highlights what you should work on. They should
Yeah.
work on their conversion rate.
150%. Their conversion rate is terrible on this one, but you can change that, right? Okay. Here's what the Ninja 9 is. It tells you exactly what that is if you're not a ninja. And what I love, this is the perfect week. So guys, this is really, and you can download this with this QR code. This gives you a breakout of how you can time block. Now you can change this how you want to, but this is what they're going to tell you to start with. You're writing your 2 personal notes, making your calls, go to your meeting. Now you can change out my meetings because it's never on a Tuesday and it's never at 9. It's always at 10, but you can build out your time block from here. This is the start of a time block. Okay. Here are the tools that we provide to do auto flow, which is great. It breaks it down for you. These are the tools that you can use for geographic farming and direct mail. And this is a Ninja business tracker that we're going to give you access to from here. So you could use it for your hot and your warm list and also your ongoing business that's under contract and what's closed. And these are our resources. So you know all of the things that we have for you. So you can really remember what could be used for what. Okay. And then this is thing that I have provided as my contribution. And this really breaks down, again, what is your WIG? What is your closed volume? What is your personal income goal? And then it breaks down all of the things that we're going to talk about. Who you're targeting. This is the review about your marketing. This talks about what is our farming plan. This is how we're going to address them, how we're going to go after them, sure that we're the community expert. What do we want to get trained on, right? What do we want to focus on? And then let's talk about our CRM goals a little bit. And this is how you pull your reports to see your numbers in Darwin Cloud, which I know none of you know how to do. Because I always get that call. How do I get that? And that is the new, which I made it just in time. What do you guys think of it? It's pretty cool, right? So I'm going to stop sharing. So Budge is going to send out the video. He's going to talk about it, and then you'll have access to it. What do you think? A little different than last year? A little more hyper-focused, right? But I think this year, the most important thing that to me has changed, just like the buyers now have more control, I think we have more control for the first time ever, right? That's the best thing about the lawsuit, in my opinion. We now have the control to decide how much money we want to make. Beforehand, we didn't have that control. We had to get paid whatever they told us we were going to get paid. And you know what? If the seller was offering $1, but our buyer wanted it, what are we going to get paid? $1, because you weren't going to talk your buyer out of it, right? I mean, we always did the right thing. I mean, it really wasn't $1, right? But sometimes it was 1%, wasn't it? And we, griped about it, but we still did it because we wanted to make our buyers happy. Well, now it's about time we get paid for our services. So when we do that buyer broker agreement, you better know your value and you better get what you deserve because you're working really hard. And however the buyer chooses to pay it, because they were paying it before, is up to the buyer. And you shouldn't feel bad about it. Carrie Bellish, are you on? Is Carrie on?
Yes, I am.
Carrie, can you share that little story about what happened to you over the weekend?
Oh, yeah. So basically, I'm working with a large amount of buyers that are wanting to buy investment properties, short-term rentals. They're pretty good prices. However, the sellers are definitely not, the sellers are not in control. I would say the buyers are in a little bit more control. But I had a situation this weekend where my buyers had signed an agreement for 3%. And I knew based on having a discussion with the listing agent that they were only going to cover 2.5, and where it was already listed, they were at the low. So she's like, we're not going any lower. So I knew that there was no way that she was going to cover the 5% or the 0.5%, I should say. So in an effort to negotiate and ensure that my buyer actually had my professional fee covered, I negotiated in the contract the 2.5% paid by the seller. And then I just did a roundup of $2,000 in closing costs and prepaids because I knew that they wouldn't accept the 3% just based on the discussion with the listing agent. So when the listing agent questioned me, and I just said it's towards closing costs, they need the cash. So that's that. And they actually ended up agreeing to the 2,000, but we did have to hold firmly.
But here's the point. Before they agreed, the buyers were not going to pay it. $2,000, guys. And, Carrie called me and she felt badly about it. Am I doing the right thing? And the point is, yes, because who's getting the house? The buyers are getting the house. She shouldn't take it out of her professional fee. She's working just as hard. The buyers have the cash. It wasn't like they needed the cash to buy it. She put it in there saying that to help them. But at the end of the day, they still had the money to buy it, right? So the point is, so she said to them, listen, we hold strong. Either you get it or you don't. It's not that she should eat the cost because she's already paying a referral on this. Why should she eat another 0.5%, which is, I'm sure, what the buyers wanted her to do? The point is, you're either going to pay 2.5% of closing costs and get the 2.5 from the seller, or you're not. You're not going to get the home. That's just how it is. You make your decision. Right, Karen?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it ended up working out, but yeah, you're right. I thought I'm not giving up mine.
No, it's ridiculous. So I just want you all to think about this. We are so accustomed to quickly saying, oh, well, we'll eat the cost. Why? Are you getting the house? Are you the one who's going to be living in the house? This is your job. You are working. If they were working, if you were at the doctor's or the wherever they work, are they going to quickly give you a discount? I highly doubt that. Whatever their job is, and this is where you'd ask them, if they ask you for the money, say, what do you do for a living? So when I come there, you're going to give me the discount? Because the answer will be no. No, they just think it's very easy for you to give your money up. Very simple. They don't value what you do. But now you have a broker-buyer agreement, and they owe you the money. So you can blame me all you want and say, I'm so sorry. We have a broker-buyer agreement. My broker will never allow that. Blame me. I don't care. But no, we do not need to eat the cost because, I mean, it's different if they really couldn't afford it, right? That's a different story. These people just didn't want to pay it. Come on an investment property. Let's be real. Okay. Thank you, Care. So, well, I hope that was good, guys. I know we're a little over, but I'm looking forward to you seeing Budge's video. It's going to be fabulous, I'm sure. Not that I've seen it, but I'm sure it's fabulous. But we will start our business planning with everybody. One-on-ones, I'll start scheduling those with everybody. So over the next, well, probably a month now. I don't think I can get everybody in a few weeks, but hopefully we'll get everybody's business plan. So I want you to start. Once you can download this from Budget's email. Now, if it's not in the email, I will send it out after the email. Okay? Yes. I was hoping it'd be out before my meeting, but it wasn't. So, shh, don't say anything. But at any rate, yeah, it's but I want you all to start pulling your numbers and start working through it, how you want to work on it, what you want to work on it. But we're going to go through, but I really want you to give some time and thought to your analysis of where you've been. Is it what you wanted and what are you hoping to do for next year? Because that will give us a really good start. If you just come and meet me and you're like, okay, that doesn't give us any idea of where we want to go, right? The whole point is, how can I help you get where you want to go? If you don't know where you want to go, how am I helping you? Right? I'm not here to tell you what you want to do. That's not my job. My job is to help you get where you want to go. But if you don't know where you want to go, so, have that ready for me when we meet. Does that make sense? All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Glad everyone is safe and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.